photos exclusively provided to Fox and Friends showing the injuries an ICE agent obtained during an attempted arrest in Oklahoma.
It comes amid an 830% increase in assaults, and the administration is taking action against the doxing of ICE officers.
Peter Doocy is live at the White House with the latest. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. Assaults on ICE officers are up 830% when you look at January to July of this year versus January to July of last year. The big change there, of course, would be Donald Trump coming into the White House in January. And we've got these exclusive photos that hammer home how dangerous some of these assaults are. 2 days ago, ICE pulled over a Honduran national in Oklahoma City. The guy refused to get out of the car. ICE tried to remove him from the car. The suspect took off with an ICE officer stuck in his car. These injuries in the photos are from an ICE officer being dragged across the road. That is why Jose Melgar Rivas, seen on your screen here in a mugshot, is now under arrest. DHS Secretary Noem says we will prosecute, is also now talking about doxing the ICE agents, a separate issue for them. She says we will prosecute those who dox ICE agents to the fullest extent of the law. These criminals are taking the side of vicious cartels and human traffickers. We won't allow it in America. And then as for the actual physical violence, here is the acting ICE Director Todd Lyons.
This individual was lawfully ordered deported from the country approximately 4 years ago. He was given the opportunity to leave. He had an ankle monitor on him. He wasn't being held in detention. He went ahead and cut that ankle monitor off, and he fled. He dragged our officer, a couple hundred feet, causing multiple injuries. Luckily, he's going to be okay. But this is just one of the hundreds of cases across the country of these individuals that have been ordered deported or have committed crimes in the United States, yet ICE is demonized because we're effectuating the law.
President Trump has given full authorization, full authority to these ICE officers and CBP officers to do whatever they need to do to protect themselves in situations like the one that we just talked about. But still, these violent assaults are being carried out against ICE officers. Back to you.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, Peter, there's a push with 40 different AGs to get the masks off the ICE officers. A totally different perception of what ICE needs to do.
And there is a bill kicking around in the Senate proposed by two Democrats, Cory Booker and Alex Padilla, that would unmask ICE agents. But I asked President Trump about that last week, and if it ever made its way to his desk, he is not going to sign it.
Yeah, he wouldn't do that.
No way.
All right. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
So I'm on the DHS website right now, and they have pictures of remember the officer that was doxxed? The representative out in California showed a violent mob his business card. So they go and they doxed him and they threw rocks at him. They're pictures of his bloody body. He had to go and get stitches. They were throwing rocks at him. But on their website, they say these are the individuals that are risking their lives to keep our community safer. He said they're arresting terrorists, murderers, pedophiles, the most depraved among us. And it's reprehensible that officers face threats just for doing their jobs.
Well, all the ideas that the progressives are proposing just don't work. Look at what Todd Lyons was just telling us. They've been saying, oh, just release these people. Put an ankle monitor. Well, you release this guy. He still has a final order of deportation. He cuts the ankle monitor off. Then he drags an officer, and yet the left are still defending these people, saying that we need to stop these operations. These are some of the worst people in our country. And I love what Martha McCallum did yesterday. She interviewed the ICE officers and let them tell their own stories. Why do they arrest other individuals that are not criminals? Well, they find when they're out there arresting a criminal, if they're with someone here illegal in the country, they're going to grab them up as well.
But just go to sort of the different mindset that you're dealing with if you're a Republican. Remember, it wasn't too long ago when all those Democratic candidates were asked, do you want to decriminalize border crossings? And every one of them put their hands up. So they think it's no big deal you come into our country. But our country feels differently to the point where now Bernie Sanders and John Kerry say we're not a country without a border. Sooner or later, they're going to realize they're taking the side of the fugitive illegal alien and realize they're on the wrong side of that, like the transgender issue, in my view.
Yep.
So there's an article, an op-ed in the New York Times. And this is the headline. This was written, first of all, by, his name is Blas Nunez Neto. He was the Assistant Secretary for Border and Immigration Policy under Joe Biden. And the headline says, I was one of Biden's border advisors. Here's how to fix our immigration system.
Does anybody you know going to keep reading
There's a
after
whole
that introduction?
long article.
So Homeland Security on X responded.
Can we just remind
this
everybody
way.
that nobody got in last month?
Zero.
Right.
Zero crosses. The border is secure. Homeland Security, who has secured the border, responded this way. I was Humpty Dumpty. Here's how to sit on the wall. And the memes and the responses to this op-ed, it was just a joke.
Trump was the one who was able to put it back together again.
Right. Nathan Brand on X posts this. I hosted the Fire Festival. Here's how to run a music festival. And Comfortably Smug, who was on our couch yesterday. I'm a Cincinnati Bengal player. Here's how you win Super Bowls. They've never won a Super Bowl. So that's how dumb it is. Who would want to hear from anybody that had anything to do with the Biden border policy? Here's Tom Homan.
Well, look, I'm shocked this guy didn't change his name, went into hiding. I mean, he has blood on his hands. I can't believe he's actually admitting to be a Biden border advisor because, based on his advice, we had historical immigration. They took the most secure border we ever had in Trump 45 and unsecured on purpose, which caused a historic increase in sex trafficking of young women and children. It caused 400 national security threats arrested at the border. It caused 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl, an historic record. Over 4,000 migrants died across that border, an historic record. They broke a lot of records. They were all bad.
Biden's on a winning streak, and this is his biggest one.
I just feel like the next story, as we talk about how the president has clearly secured the border, is what is going to be the president's plan after he gets the deportations done to reform the immigration process. And I know there's a lot of proposals out there, but it has to be his plan. It has to be a plan that's respected by the public because they realize that he's secured the border. He is going to continue the deportations, but he wants people here legally as well. What is his immigration process? Who gets a visa? Who gets the opportunity to stay here? And who's clearly going to leave the country? But again, Ainsley, his June numbers tell a big story.
Yeah, look at these numbers. They were in June. 25,228 total encounters nationwide. That is the lowest monthly total in CBP history. And then 8,024 U.S. Border Patrol apprehensions nationwide. That's a new historic low. 6,072 Southwest border apprehensions, 15% lower than the previous March record. 136 apprehensions on June 28th, lowest single day total in the agency's history. And look at this, 0 parole releases, as Brian was saying, compared to 27,766 that were released last June under Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are incredible. They're astounding. They're better than President Trump did in 2016. And it's the ripple effect. It's the word comes out. If you're in Central and South America, if you get close, you're not going to get in. If you're going to sell your mud hut to come here, it's not a good investment.
You're going to lose your money.
You're going to lose your money. And what you're talking about, too, is some type of immigration reform, addressing the other elements of immigration that's not necessarily even controversial. But Jim Jordan says, I'm thinking about moving my legislation through. And the biggest question is that divide the MAGA world, which I hear loves to be divided these days, is if you're here illegally, even if it's for 20 years, you're working on a farm in Iowa or in Oklahoma, if you're working on a farm, should you be asked to leave? And what Trump is looking at this and talking to the farmers and his agricultural secretary is, as well as the meatpacking industry and hospitality, is let's try to work something out. Number one, there's got to be some type of fine. Number two, you can't get citizenship. But,
no amnesty.
Yeah, it's called regularization.
That's right.
Or something. There's got to be some type of fine. And then you got to have a voucher from your boss or a sponsor. So I think there might be something there. But in saying this, a third of maybe Donald Trump supporters go, absolutely no way. I don't want to hear anything. It's just a form of amnesty. Maybe Laura Ingraham feels that way. Charlie Kirk feels that way. I feel differently. I feel like I want to work with the farmers meatpacking and do what I just said. Fine. Give them insurance. They got to pay for it out of their paycheck. Bring up the wages to commiserate with where we are in America, minimum wage, whatever it is. And I think that's the only way. And the only reason it's possible is because for the first time ever, they've sealed the border.
I think the president agrees with you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.